bum, 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 bum. Bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-da-da-da-dum. Ram bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-da-da-da-dum. Da 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 da. Ba-dun-da-da-da-da-da-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Bum-ba-da-da-da-da-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-da-da-dum-ba-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Hello, my friends. Good evening. Monday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Here you are. Here am I. Here we all stand before each other. It's so wonderful. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Joette Calabrese, and I'm here every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to talk to you about homeopathy. And I love to turn you on to it. I love to get what you already love and deepen that knowledge and deepen that curiosity so that you have freedom. That's the whole idea. And for those of you who do know me, welcome, my friends. It's great to see you. My mighties are here, and my Facebook Live friends are here. It's so good to see everyone. Hello from Washington State. Francine from Newberry. Love this song. Yeah. It's my brother wrote that song. My brother is a music composer, and um, he's written for movies and wrote for Whitney Houston. He's done a lot of professional music work that's pretty darned great stuff. And so, hello. Hi, Leanne. Hi, Catherine from Northwest Minnesota. Hi, Harry. Hi, Harry. It's wonderful to see you. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you, Harry. Always complimentary. Hello from Virginia. So Shoshana from Virginia and Dia Curb from Texas. It's wonderful to see everyone. Why can't I get on Mighty Members tonight? Make sure that you are on, that you've got your that you log in. I think that's the way that I need to say that. You need to log in. Good evening from Connecticut, but you can see me here from Facebook. We can do it this way too. So, shall we talk? Let's talk. All right. Let's talk about angst, anxiety, worry, freaking. It's yeah, check your browser. Thank you, says Leanne. Check your browser. Um Fear. It's something I used to experience a lot of. I used to have great fear of the future, great fear of what was wrong with me because I was so sick years ago. I used to have fear for no reason at all, just panic attacks, just ridiculous. Or so now when I look back at it, it seems ridiculous. It wasn't actually ridiculous because it's something that many people suffer from, partly due, I have to say, to our thinking, partly due because we don't have the knowledge of how to use homeopathy properly. And what often brings it on, in my estimation, is drugs. Drugs of commerce, synthetic drugs of commerce. Which is the most common? The antibiotics. And what they do is they change the gut flora, and then the gut, of course, is related very closely to the brain. And so now the brain is acting in an odd way because the gut is not balanced. It's oversimplification. I realize that. But hey, isn't that what we need? We don't want to get into the weeds with this. We want to understand that when we use these drugs, even if it's just a short run of these drugs, even it's this is just a mild antibiotic. This is not a really heavy antibiotic. And then the person takes it because they believe that it can relieve them of this infection that homeopathy more often than not can take care of, and they submit. They submit under pressure, under psychological pressure, under emotional pressure, and when they're not feeling well, they look to someone else. As Dan Kennedy, the marketing man, says, people are looking for an umbilical cord. They're getting their umbilical cord looking for someone to plug it into. And most people think that that's their doctor. Now, look, I'm not going to tell you that you should not have a doctor, but choose carefully. Choose very, very carefully. Make sure that your doctor is your team, is part of your team. Chiropractor, mwah, love chiropractors. Physical therapists, excellent. All nutritionists, nurse, doctor, good doctors are starting to come out. Have you noticed that? More and more doctors are coming out of the woodwork. I see more and more doctors following me. I see doctors joining our academy and joining our study groups. So medical doctors are realizing that the king is no longer wearing clothing, that the emperor is naked. And they've had it up to their eustachian tubes too. So we're not the only ones are frustrated by what's been happening in medicine in the last 50 years, 100 years, but more succinctly in the last 2.5 to close to 3 years. So let's talk about fear. I decided that I was going to try to come up with an acronym for fear, but my husband's reading this book called The Wealthy Gardener, and he's loving it. And he reads bits and pieces of it to me, and it's written by John Saforic. It's a new book. It's not something that's old. The Wealthy Gardener by John Saforic, Safforic. And he says, fear is false evidence appearing real. Fear, FEAR, false evidence appearing real. And often that is so. There's more often that fear is something that we imagine is going to happen and never happens. But I like this one even better. He also says, fear is FEAR, face everything and rise. Now I went that I like that idea. Face everything, and I say face everything and remedy. Doesn't mean we always use remedies. Obviously, my friends, it's not always that we use a homeopathic medicine. In fact, I encourage my students, my mighties, you folks, I encourage you to figure out common sense ways to deal with things before you even jump to homeopathic medicine. Just because you know the medicine does not mean that you use it. But I want you to know them, because by knowing homeopathy, you are relieved of angst and fear. And it's an important thing, because once you have fear, it changes the chemistry, if we could say that. It changes the way we think about what's next. What do we do next? So I'm going to show you what I love. You know that I love Robin Murphy's Meta Repertory. Here it is. You don't need to have this, but I urge you to consider it. It's the 4th edition. 3rd edition is equally as good as far as I'm concerned. Very good book. Very important book. If you're going to take homeopathy to the next level, this book is valuable. If you want to just kind of dabble in it here and there and just join me on Facebook Live and join me in through the Mighties and just read my blog, that's okay too. I will meet you wherever you are, my friends. I want you to know that, because there was a time when I didn't have that much interest in homeopathy. I had just a vague concept of what it could be until it blew me over with a response that my child had after I used a medicine for him when he was an infant. So I also want you to remember that we have our Psalms, my friends. And if you look up in your concordant, if you have a biblical concordant, or just go online, I lie down and sleep, I wake again, because the Lord sustains me. I will not fear, though tens of thousands assail me on every side. Psalm 3, 5 through 6. It's a beautiful thing. And I have to tell you that when I was giving birth to my second and third child, I hadn't thought to do this for my first. I should have, but I didn't. I went through a concordant, a Bible concordant, and I wrote down everything that I might be going through my mind while I was in labor. So I wrote down fear, speed, pain, suffering, and I looked up as many of those kinds of words that I could think of. And I decided to then find each one of those words and find as many passages as I could find that touched me. And then I wrote them all down, and I wrote them on 3x5 cards. And I actually hired someone to be in my home while I was in labor and read from these cards. And at one point while I was in labor, she stopped reading. I said, no, don't stop. Keep reading, so that I could stay focused on not having fear, not having worry, not having not living into the pain, but allowing the pain to open up what needed to be opened up so my baby could be born. And I found it effective. Now, let me also say that during labor, I want you to know this and write this down, my friends. The best medicine for a woman who is going into labor, is in labor, or has just given birth, when she has anxiety and she's freaking, it could be a frank panic attack. The medicine, par excellence, you should all write this down. And I've talked about this before. Drum roll, it is aconitum. Aconitum nipalis. Aconitum, Aconitum. Aconitum. Aconitum nipalis. 200C. You watch a woman go from, oh my gosh, something's wrong. The baby's is not gonna survive. I'm not gonna survive. I'm gonna end up dying. This is really horrible. What do we do? Somebody do something. Somebody help me. That is aconitum. Did you hear the way I said it? Oh my gosh, this is too much. I'm gonna die. Aconitum. The baby could die. Oh my gosh, get me to the next place. Someone, give me the drugs. Give me somebody, do something, because I'm freaking. Aconitum, 200C. If you don't see response immediately, and actually, to be honest, I'd be surprised if you didn't. If you don't see response immediately, you use another dose in 15 minutes. And once you see a response, what do you do, my friends? Fini, halt. Don't use it any longer. You start it up again if it's needed. But if you see a response from this medicine, you, okay, keep it aside. Keep it there. This is the job of the father or the midwife, or a friend who's helping out, a doula. That is their job. It's not the job of the mother to figure out, oh my gosh, I'm freaking. She's too into the freaking. So it is aconitum, not just during labor. It is also when there is anxiety in general. So I'm going to show you. That on page 17, which is in the mind section. I always have to do this backwards, of course. So you can see aconite. No, right there. You see how it's bold? Under anxiety. Let's see if you can see that now. You see anxiety there? Right at the top. ACON. Capitalized. Underlined. There are others. There's carcinosum, calcarea, ars, argentum, nitricum, arsenicum. There are other medicines, but I want you to note that aconitum is very important. And I want you to remember this, especially for labor. Now, but not just labor. Anxiety in general. This rubric that I'm showing you Anxiety in the mind section of this repertory doesn't say anything about labor. Not at this point. It does later on if you turn the next page and you go into during pregnancy, during labor, etc. But I also want to point out something else. Sometimes it's not as simple as just anxiety. Anxiety can be low level anxiety. On a scale of 1 to 10, it could be a chronic 4, which is very uncomfortable to live with. We don't want anxiety to even be in the background. When I used to have anxiety years ago, I used to say it was like music. It was like this polyester, cheap, horrible experience that I had low level that was just sitting in the background. Little did I know that it was from all of the drugs that I had acquiesced to. So now let's talk about anxiety, not at a 4, not even a 6. Let's call it a gobsmacking, whopping 10. The person is in a complete panic, freaking out. Something's got to be done right now. I can't handle this. This is too much. And they're panicking, and it's such a great panic that they don't think of it as something psychological. They think something else is happening. They're thinking, I must be about to have a heart attack. It must be that my blood pressure must be going through the roof. Something serious is really happening. Okay? And I'm going to show you that. And we're still in the mind section, only now we're under P. Let's see if I can see it on the other screen. I'm going to watch and see how it shows up. Down, down, down. Okay, where's our panic? You see it on the left? Panic. Aconitum. Let me move it over a little bit. Aconite. ACON. Capitalize. Underline. Look at argentum nitricum. Capitalize. Underline. Whoops. I guess I have to move it this way, don't I? Is that correct? I think I do. Yes, I'm moving it this way. Aconitum. ACON. Bold and underline. Argentum nitricum, bold and underline. There are others, but those are very important. Could we use something else? We certainly could, but I wouldn't start with that. I would start with what is the most common. That is, and I'm telling you what the most common is for panic, it's aconitum. Someone is certain they're going to die. I can feel it. I can feel it in my heart. Cardiac arrest. I think I'm going to die. And then they actually imagine, I don't think I'll be here. I'm going to be gone in 2 hours. These are my last 2 hours. I'm doomed. This is it. Aconitum. Aconitum napellus. Aconitum. I keep aconitum in my purse, and I've talked about this before, and I know that I'm repeating certain things, but sometimes it's important that we repeat, because if I say it in a slightly different way, with a slightly different angle, you're more apt to remember it. You're more apt to think about it, for your children to understand it. All right. Aconitum, one of our best. Now I also want to talk about the next one that we've seen twice now. Argentum nitricum. Argentum nitricum. Argnitricum. Argentum. ARG. ENTUM, argentum, and then nitricum, NIT. And we can just call it nit, nit. And I like that also in a 200C. Now, what if all you've got is a 30? You use what you've got until you can get what you need, when it is something that seems pretty serious. Yes. Agoraphobia. You bet. Argentum nitricum. Also a tremendous fear of flying. There's a huge fear of flying. And I'm going to read from my Materia Medica here. Argentum nitricum. And I'll read directly from it. Noted for anxiety and nervous tension, this remedy is indicated for symptoms including lack of coordination, loss of control, and lack of balance mentally and physically. Good remedy for inflammation of cartilage, etc. We're not going to go through all of that because that's not exactly what we're looking for. Characteristic symptoms, great desire for sweets. So if the person happens also to be someone who craves for sweets, that doubles as even more valuable. But they don't have to. They don't have to. The person may be fearful and nervous about his health, and may utilize good behavior in an attempt to compensate for a lack of self-confidence. So there's a lack of confidence and a lack of feeling as though their body could ever really complete what needs to be completed. Illogical anxieties, irrational motives. It's an irrational medicine. In other words, it's an irrational, a person who is irrational, particularly in their fear. That's the medicine, Argentum nitricum. How often do we use it? If they're in an acute situation, not unlike what I just described about panic, we're going to use it every 15 minutes until we see a resolution. What's a resolution? You can see it visually. If it's you personally, you can feel it. It's visceral. It's a deep sensation like, oh my gosh, it's over. Oh my gosh, it's done. And when that happens, we don't repeat the medicine. Once it's done, let it be. We save that medicine. We save that little bottle for when we have another incident. Now, I do want to show you this just because I inadvertently picked it up. Check this out. This is Veratrum Album 3. Look how it's packaged. Is that not fascinating? You know how they do it on this way. Not this way, Joette. This way. It is a bottle of Veratrum Album 3 that is probably from about 1918. I have a lot of these really cool old bottles. And I point it out to you because if you are someone who is prone to panic attacks or someone in your family is prone to panic attacks, then you're going to keep these medicines in your purse. You're going to travel with them. You're going to have them all the time, right? And I've told you this before. I keep aconitum in my purse at all times because it's not just for panic. I don't have that any longer. It's not for anxiety attacks. I don't have that any longer. Long gone, my friends. Long gone. Why? Because I've been using homeopathy. And because I don't even have to use it for a long period of time. I took a few doses of these kinds of medicines and it was gone. It just melted away. Now I want to go over one other medicine, and that is, see if anyone knows which one it is for anxiety. And especially in today's world, it's particularly valuable. And the reason I think it's particularly valuable is because we live in a world in which there are a lot of toxins. And this is one of our best medicines for toxin responses. Ailments from toxins. Ailments from toxins. And I'm using my book again, my Materia Medica. Ailments for anybody have any ideas? Let's see what everybody's talking about. Ignatia. Arsenicum. Leanne, you hit it on the nose. Arsenicum album. You bet. And I also have this old book, my old desktop guide. I've shown this to you before. It's been bound twice already. It needs to be rebound again. And Arsenicum album is, let's say someone is given a drug. I don't know. Let's say they're given an antibiotic. And in response to taking that antibiotic, I mean within minutes or, hours, the person freaks. And they feel this, not just anxiety and or panic, but very stepped up. Now, the other two, I already told you, Argentum nitricum and aconitum have a stepped up sensation as well. But arsenicum is even higher than that. They feel so stepped up and so frightened that they can't sit still. They got to walk. Back and forth. They pace. They take a sip of water. They don't drink water in a full drink. It's a sip. That's all it is. And then they get up and they move the painting that's on the wall and straighten it out. And then they walk around and then they pick up a little feather that's fallen on the floor and their diarrhea, running to the bathroom, taking sips of water, seeing things that are unsettled in the house, needing to settle them. They're looking for home. They're looking for a chance to make chaos into some semblance so that they can wade through the angst that they're feeling. So our Seneca is, the function is that they must make order out of chaos because they feel so chaotic inside. And it does often happen from being poisoned. What's a poison? I'm sorry to say, conventional drugs are poison. Now, let me say something about that, my friends. I do not tell people to get off of their drugs. Not a cool thing to do. We want to keep people from going on them. But if they're already on a drug on a day-to-day basis, to advise them to just get off would be, let's say, irresponsible. It would also cause potential tremendous chaos. There's a boomerang effect when somebody's been taking a drug for a period of time, even if it's a short period of time. They've been taking a drug for, 6 months, and if they abruptly stop, or even if they titrate off, it can cause trouble. And you don't want that responsibility. You don't want them to suffer that. But if someone is thinking about taking a drug and you know that there's an alternative solution, such as homeopathy, or just drinking more water. How about just drinking more water? How about getting in the sunshine? How about getting away from the computer? We want to try to find simple measures and then use homeopathy if need be. Now, our Seneca album, I almost always use it in a 200C in the same way that I used aconitum and argentum nitricum. And those are my 3 A's for tonight, for panic and anxiety. Aconitum, argentum nitricum, and arsenicum. Does it mean we can't use ignatia? Of course not. Does it mean we can't use coffea? Certainly not. But these are the top 3 that I think of right away with the descriptions that I've just given you. Okay. Irritable bowel syndrome with anxiety, my friends, irritable bowel, go to my Good Gut, Bad Gut course. I talk about that in great length. You go to Joette's Learning Center, JOETTES Learning Center, and look up that course, and I guarantee you will find information. Now, I'm also going to tell you, anytime you purchase any of my courses, my online courses, you own them. You own it, right? Take it 3-4 times. Don't expect to get all the good information just by taking it once. All right. Do you have private sessions? I do, but I'm not taking new clients, at least not at this point, because I've been working so in depth on my academy and my mastery program. Yeah. How many medicines are horrible medicines, Francine? It's so interesting, isn't it? Don't look up what are the side effects of this medicine, this drug that I'm about to take. Instead, look up what your side effects are or what your conditions are. You may not even consider them side effects. Look at what your conditions are. Oh my gosh, I'm so nauseous. Oh my goodness, my hair is falling out. Oh my goodness, I'm not sleeping anymore. Oh my goodness, I have itching. Holy cow, there's constipation. Look up whatever drug you're taking and see if any one of those conditions might be caused by that drug. And I practically talk about guaranteeing. I practically guarantee it. Yes, and arsenicum album does help with irritable bowel syndrome and anxiety, but it's a specific potency and specific protocol that would be most valuable. Alrighty, my friends. I would love 200 potency, Evelyn. 200 potency is what I love. And let's just see if we've got any questions I can quickly answer. Such good stuff. Yep. Yep. Good stuff. I think we've got it. I think we did it all, my friends. Wonderful to see you. Consider joining my Mighties if you're not a Mighty, because Mighties get lots of extra information. Consider joining a study group because you will have friends that you can study with online. And then, trust me, you'll remain friends forever if that's the way it works. Okay, my friends, God bless you all. Mwah. No anxiety, no fear. We can do what we need to do. Good night. Bye.